Hello everyone. Good morning to all. Now today we will think about the speech mechanism or the production of sound. Students, you know that when we speak something, we have to produce a sound. There is some mechanism in our mind. No doubt there is a mechanism in our mouth how to produce a sound. So as far as our language is concerned, it is said that language is a system of sound. A language is a system of sound. It means that when we speak something, we have to produce a sound. So what actually happens when we produce a sound? So producing a sound requires some help of body organs. To make a sound, to make any kind of sound, almost we require some body parts such as tongue, teeth, lips, then we have larynx, vocal cord, teeth, palate, teeth, palate, pharynx, pharynx, epiglottic, epiglottic, then teeth ridge, these are some parts of our body which helps to produce any kind of sound. So to produce a sound, what happens actually in our mouth? Yeah, one more thing, it's very important, that is mouth, or we can say jaw. So these are the some body parts or organs of speech which will be helpful to produce any kind of sound. So what actually happens when we produce a sound? So I have a figure of speech diagram here by which we can try to understand how we produce a sound, what kind of mechanism take place when we produce any kind of sound. So friends, just try to understand. This is the figure of speech, the diagram of figure of speech. This is a nasal cavity. We have two cavities. The first one is nasal cavity and the second one is mouth cavity. So both cavities are very important here. This is tongue. You can see This is a tongue, upper lip and lower lip. These are the two lips, and upper teeth and lower teeth. I have shown this. Larynx is here, uvula is here, and epiglottis is here. So mainly we see that these are the organs of body which help to produce any kind of sound. Okay, what happens actually when we produce a sound? This is our trachea, or we can say windpipe and food pipe. At first the air comes from our lungs. It comes from our lungs, it comes into the mouth, vibrating the vocal cord. Vocal cord has another name, that is the voice box. We can call it as a voice box, or we can call it as in larynx. So when air comes from our mouth, it comes into the vocal cord, vibrating vocal cord, it goes into the mouth cavity or the nasal cavity. It's depend upon what kind of sound we are producing. So at the first, air dash to the larynx, air goes through the vocal cord or voice box and then enter into the mouth cavity. Okay, so when it enter into the mouth cavity, when it is a oral sound means the sound which can be produced through the mouth. So when it comes into the mouth, and as it comes into the mouth, it goes out of the mouth, and there is production of some sound. So coming the air from lungs, vibrating the vocal cord, it goes into the mouth, and if it is the oral sound, the air goes out of the mouth. This is oral sounds. If the sounds are nasalized sounds, what happen in nasalized sounds? The same thing happen, the air comes from the lungs, vibrating the vocal cord, sometimes vibrate, sometimes do not vibrate. It comes near to the epiglottis. Epiglottis close the passage, close the mouth cavity here. This is hard palate, it's a palate, totally figure of palate. It is the soft palate, and in the last part of the soft palate, it is called uvula. Uvula or the soft palate, lower down, nasal cavity open here. Air goes into the nasal cavity, and then air passes through the nose. These sounds are called the nasalized sounds. For example, m, n. If you these are some nasalized sounds. It means that when we have the production of nasalized sound, soft palate lower down, air goes through the nasal cavity and it passes through the nose, and that is the production of nasalized sounds. So students, this is very important part when we think about the production of sounds. So we say that the production of sounds produced by the air stream. Sounds are produced by air stream. It means that air comes from the lungs and it comes into the mouth, and when it comes into the mouth, with the help of air stream we can produce a sound. We can produce a sound with the help of air. Okay, so that is very important things. So how air comes? Air comes from our lungs. Air comes into our mouth from the lungs, and when it comes, it vibrates the larynx. Larynx contain the vocal cord, we can say. Larynx contain the vocal cord, or we can say it has a voice box. We have the another name as a voice box. Okay, so friends, this is very important part when we think about the speech mechanism. So when vocal cords are held close, when vocal cords held very closed, very close, and air passes through it, and air passes through it, voice sound is produced. This is very important part when we think that when air comes from the lungs, it comes into the vocal cord or the voice box, and when the voice box comes held very closely, and there is a very little space through which the air passes, and when the air passes, vocal cord vibrate there, and when vibration take place and the sound is produced, we can say that these are the voice sound, because the vocal cord vibrates there, and when vocal cord vibrates, it's a voiced. Vibrate vocal cords are called voice sound. And when the vocal cord do not vibrate, it's called voiceless sound. Do not vibrate, it's voiceless sounds. So we have two types of sounds. Sometimes the vocal cord vibrate, it is called the voice sound, and sometimes vocal cord do not vibrate. At the same times we can call these sounds as a voiceless sounds. So some sounds are oral and some sounds are nasalized. Some sounds are oral and some are nasalized. As I told you here, when we produce any kind of sound through the mouth, all these sounds are oral sounds, and when we produce any kind of sound through the nose, these are called the nasalized sounds. So in later on we will see in details when we think about the vowels, diphthongs and consonants. So in that particular video we will see in details, but in generally what happens when we produce any kind of sound, just this is the mechanism of producing a sound. So as I told you that when we produce any kind of nasalized sound, this is the palate and the last part is a soft palate. When soft palate lower down, we produce a nasalized sound. When soft palate lower down, nasalized sounds are produced there. So friends, as far as all these things are concerned, everything is given as far as the speech mechanism is concerned there. So these are the important things. If the question occur in the exam, definitely this information will be helpful to you to write and to get the more marks. So it's my suggestion for all of you, go through it in details. Definitely it will help you to get more marks. So if you like this video, definitely like it, subscribe it and share it. Thank you once again.